Jaya Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Govardhari Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Atame kuru kalyanam kamam kamalalochana artupasarapanam bhuman amogham himahiyasi atame kuru kalyanam kamam kamalalochana artupasarapanam bhuman amogam himahiyasi. Adame kuru kalyanam ladies. Atame kuru kalyanam kamam kamalalochana topasarpanam bhuman ata, therefore, me, unto me, kuru, kindly do, kalyanam, benediction, kamam, desire, kamalalochana, O lotus-eyed one, arta, of the distressed, upasarpanam, the approaching, bhuman, O great one, amogam, without failure, he, certainly, mahiyasi, to a great person. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Does somebody know where the first slider is on the sound thing? Could just turn it down a fraction, if you can do it. It's pretty much the first one there on the left. Just a fraction down, it's starting to feedback a little. Haribol, that's better. Thank you. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O lotus-eyed one, kindly bless me by fulfilling my desire. When someone in distress approaches a great person, his pleas should never go in vain. Please repeat. O lotus-eyed one, kindly bless me by fulfilling my desire. When someone in distress approaches a great person, his plea should never go in vain. It's a short purport by Srila Prabhupada. Diti knew well that her request might be rejected because of the untimely situation, but she pleaded that when there is an emergency or a distressful condition, there is no consideration of time or situation. Read text 16. Iti tam viramaricha kripanam bahu bhasinim pratyahanunayan try again. Pratyahanunayan vacha pravridhananga kashmalam. O hero, excuse me, purport, translation by Srila Prabhupada. O hero, Vidura, Diti, being thus afflicted by the contamination of lust, and therefore poor and talkative, was pacified by the son of Marichi in suitable words. Who's the son of Marichi? Kashyapa, yes. Purport. When a man or woman is afflicted by the lust of sex desire, it is said to be understood as sinful contamination. Kashyapa was engaged in his spiritual activities, but he did not have sufficient strength to refuse his wife who was thus afflicted. He could have refused her with strong words expressing impossibility, but he was not as spiritually strong as Vidura. Vidura is addressed here as a hero because no one is stronger in self-control than a devotee of the Lord. It appears that Kashyapa was already inclined to have sexual enjoyment with his wife, and because he was not a strong man, he tried to dissuade her only with pacifying words. Om Jnana Timidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here we're continuing the pastime of Diti and Kashyapa Muni. Diti requesting to have children from Kashyapa Muni. There's many lessons in this pastime. And it is said here in the purport that when a man or woman is afflicted by the lust of sex desire, it is to be understood as a sinful contamination. So this is coming to the very root of the problem, or the very cause of our problem in this material world is we're trying to become or wanting to experience the position of the enjoyer. Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, Bhume apo nalo vayu kamano bodhi evacha ahankara itiyame bina prakriti rashtada apari amitastanyam prakritim vidi me param. He says that these material elements are there: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. But above them is the soul, the jiva. Jiva bhuta mahabaho jayadam dharyate jagat. Elsewhere he says that these jiva souls, they're actually in the position of prakriti, right? Apariyam mitastvanyam. So compared to this apara prakriti, which is the earth, water, fire, ether, prakritim vidi me param. Prakritim, my energy. Prakriti, me, my. Prakritim vidi, no, me, my. Prakritim vidi me param, supreme. Know that these jiva souls, they're superior to the material energy. But also know, he says in this verse, prakritim, they're prakriti. They're of the nature of prakriti. In the archetype of the Vedic paradigm, we have the masculine Purusha and the feminine Prakriti. And all Jiva souls, they're in this position of Prakriti, feminine position, being enjoyed by the Lord. Whether in this world they're apparently dressed in a masculine form or feminine form, makes no difference. The actual position of the soul is as servant, or as the energy of the Lord. Or elsewhere said, Jiva Rasrup Hai Krishna Nityadas. We are the energy of the Lord, and He is the Purusha. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Lord Brahma prays using this word Purusha. So Krishna explains our mentality when we come into this material world in the 13th chapter. Purusha prakritisto hi punkte prakritijan gunan karanam guna sangosha sad asadyoni jamasu. He uses, instead of the word prakriti, when he's talking about the mentality or the psychology of the soul coming into the material world, he uses this word Purusha. Purusha prakritisto hi. In this sense, he's using prakriti as the material nature. That the soul takes on the bhava, or the mood of enjoyer, tries to be the enjoyer. Purusha prakriti stohi, bhunkte, tries to enjoy. Bhunkte prakriti jangunan, and associating with these material modes of nature then. Karanam guna sangosha. So by associating, by having sangha with these different gunas, karanam, the cause is sad asad, good and bad species, auspicious, inauspicious places. But the bottom line is that the soul has taken on this idea or the mood of being Purusha. We can read, Srila Prabhupada gave very amazing explanation of how the soul comes to the material world in Melbourne, Australia, actually here in this country. He probably gave the most very expansive in a answer to a question. And some of the esteemed Prabhupada disciples may have been there that day they were here, may remember that. They may have been there, great fortune to be there in person when Srila Prabhupada was speaking this. We can also take advantage by hearing on the MP3 or tape, whatever. But Srila Prabhupada explains there that how do we come to this material world? Why do we come to this material world? All of these questions that come up. And he explains there that actually we don't, in one sense, we don't really leave the material world. We don't really leave the spiritual world. He said the eternal time is always there. We're eternally in that position as subordinate servants of Krishna. And due to desire of wanting to experience this Purusha Bhav, we basically dreaming, we go into a dream sort of a state which is facilitated by material time. Material time opens up and we can come and experience the Purusha Bhav for an almost unlimited amount of time. But still, once we eventually turn back to Krishna, there's no time. There's practically a moment in the spiritual world. So, like this, the whole thrust of existence in the material world is trying to enjoy this experience of being Purusha. It's like a dream. It's like we're dreaming at night, but our body is in the bed, but we're experiencing, we're swimming, we're doing this here and there. So the solution to get out of a bad dream is not to try to stay in the dream and become stronger, to swim across the ocean in a dream. The solution is to wake up. Right? So in the same way, the solution to us trying to be the lords of the material world, trying to be the Purusha, trying to be the enjoyer, the solution to that is not to try to become a better enjoyer. The solution is to wake up and realize we're very insignificant, tiny spirit soul, part and parcel of the Supreme Spirit. Govinda Mahari Purusham. And when we reawaken our position, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema, Sadhya Kabunai, Shravanadi, Shuddha Chitte Karya Udai. We can reawaken this position as a pure lover of Krishna. So therefore it's said here, when a man or woman is afflicted by the lust of sex desire, it is to be understood as sinful contamination. Why it's sinful? Because this is not our eternal constitutional position. It's not who we are. It's the dream world. So this is one level. This is the level of spiritual understanding. What is that level given? Now, somebody may say, oh, this is impractical. How can I apply that in my life? How can I completely renounce eating, sleeping, mating, defending overnight? But the great Vaishnavacharyas, they have been extremely merciful to give this process of how to, and in Srimad Bhagavatam this is basically elaborated on. So the Bhagavad Gita is more or less talking on this level that we've been talking so far for 10 minutes. You're not the body, you're spirit soul, you're a servant of Krishna. Wake up. Right? Jiv Jago, Gaura Chandra Bole. The Bhagavatam then expands it and says, alright, we're telling you to wake up, but you're still partly asleep. So this is the process of how you can wake up. Right? And in a sloka by in the moral instructions of Chanakya Pandit that Srila Prabhupada would quote often. There's one verse there that a wise man is one, matrivat paradareshu, that he considers every woman that is not his own wife, he considers them to be a mother. Considers them a mother. Oh, my dear mother. He's thinking like that, even though he may be talking in normal way, but the cultured man is thinking that every woman is just like his mother. Now, why mother? Why not sister? Prabhupada spoke on this point also. That mother is the feminine energy or the feminine personality who's also superior to the man. Understand? So it's addressing that person that is in a feminine incarnation, in feminine body, but at the same time as the superior. So we're putting ourselves in that position as we're the servant. Yes, I'm the servant of you. Yes, my dear mother, I'm your servant. So this is the way that Srila Prabhupada, Chandika Pandit, and many of the Vaishnavacharyas also have said, this is the moral standard by which one should live in this world. This is the minimum. This is the minimum standard for somebody trying to progress in bhakti. If somebody, man or woman, but if somebody is going around thinking, oh, I have this, I have this woman now, or I have this man now, or maybe I can get one other one, or maybe what about this one? Then the mind is completely disturbed, cannot engage in bhakti. So this is the minimum standard, is the moral standard of accepting one wife, one husband, and working with that. And even on a practical level, we can see that works. So on this moral level, once Srila Prabhupada was walking in Mayapur with many disciples, and my Guru Maharaj Jayapataka Maharaj, he has told me this story, and I've heard him repeat it many, many times. So this is the story he tells, that they're walking in Mayapur, and it came to the attention of Srila Prabhupada that one man had been visiting a prostitute. So Srila Prabhupada said to him that, why are you doing this? That you are married. You have a wife. Why do you need to go and see a prostitute? And the devotee replied that to have this kind of connection with my wife, this is sinful. This is illicit, sinful. Prabhupada said, yeah, but your seeing a prostitute is sinful. Seeing your wife, that is not devotional. We can't say that's pure devotional service, but it's not sinful in that sense that going to see a prostitute is. So Prabhupada's giving instruction on this moral level. What is Chandika Pandit saying? Accept one person and try to elevate yourself from there. I had some other things to say, which I can't remember right now. I'll be honest with you. I didn't write them down this morning because I was trying to chant. So is there any question at this point? And probably in that process, these other things I wanted to mention will come up. But essentially, we're talking here on the spiritual level. This is sinful level to try to be the enjoyer. At the same time, there is some license given, adhikari, some license to engage in sexual life, especially in relation to having children, because when one has children, there's naturally huge sacrifice. I remember Urmila Mataji talking the other day, saying that, we should always try to do the service that's, suits us or whatever, but she said sometimes we just have to do the needful. She gave the example, just like when my kid came and vomited on my bed at 2 a.m. in the morning, I just had to clean it up. What can I do? It's a big sacrifice, having children. But it's the way to engage this desire for sex life. If one wants to just enjoy sex life without taking any responsibility, then that's not going to be elevating to the soul. Krishna has given this sexual attraction in this world is to encourage people to have children, and it's an reflection of the spiritual desire. So we can understand that in the material world we are in the feminine position. This is not something we can really understand in great detail. We shouldn't try to wrangle our brain around this, how is that? But we should just understand the principle that we are in that dependent position spiritually to God. He is the supreme person, Purusha, the male, masculine. And we are all feminine, right? But this is the Vaishnava philosophy is very deep, but we can't try to understand it in the conditioned state just by our mind, this way, that way. If we chant carefully, chant Hare Krishna, meditate on this, Krishna will reveal all of these things in due course of time. But while we're in this world, we should live morally, we should live in a moral way. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, according to our occupation, we should live morally, do the very best we can in our situation, and that will provide a cradle, that will provide a basis for us to be able to chant. Is there any question? I can keep going. One point. Yes? Yes, two questions. Okay, all right, I'll stop there for now. Yes, bro. Do we have the mic-y? Bhakta mic?
Thank you, Prabhu. I was reading the other day that sensual weakness won't ruin our spiritual life. As you were saying, that there can be a fall down, and our spiritual advancement sort of, I guess, stops at that point for a bit. But I was listening that cheating can actually ruin your spiritual life. That, as you were saying, we have to try to be moral and straightforward. I was thinking maybe you could comment on that the examples of people that are pretending to be one thing and doing something else, that can ruin your spiritual life.
It's generally speaking, when we talk about ruining, and thank you for the question, thank you for the comment, generally speaking, when we talk about ruining our spiritual life, Lord Chaitanya explained the mad elephant offense. The mad elephant can go into a garden and can just rip up whole trees and just throw them to the side. Whereas a cow or a goat or something may, nibble a bit, but the trees can grow back. And Lord Chaitanya made that distinction between sinful activity and offensive activity. And this is really the distinction there. And if somebody's cheating, for example, saying, trying to represent Krishna in a certain way, saying, I'm representing Krishna, I'm doing this is what you should be doing, and at the same time doing something completely off, that's very offensive to Krishna, especially because it affects his devotees. His devotees are putting faith in them and listening, okay, this person is on the straight and narrow, is on the level, and then they're not, it really disturbs their faith. So that's the thing that is very, Krishna really doesn't like that, obviously. He says in Bhagavad Gita that those who are explaining this to his devotees, they are the most dear to him. So we can understand that it's dear to his heart, It's not just a karmic give and take, but it's dear to Krishna's heart, explaining this and uplifting others. So imagine if what you do is giving people a bad experience of Krishna consciousness, giving them a traumatic samskar about what is Krishna consciousness, that every time they think about Krishna consciousness, they go, oh my God, something very traumatic related to Krishna consciousness. We can see from that sloka, Krishna is going to be extremely unpleased with that. So that's that kind of a cheating thing. If someone has some difficulty and says, okay, I took this position or something, I can't maintain this, and then they get, they make a situation, they get married or have a situation where they're peaceful in society. We can see many examples where devotees have continued healthily in their service and like that. So I think but my understanding is that the essential distinction is between honest, I don't want to say honest fall down, but I mean honestly saying this is what I can follow, and offensiveness, cheating, that affects the minds of others, that goes into the realm of offense, aparad, rada, aparada. So something like that, yeah. And there was one more, Lucas or someone, I think Lucas had your hand up.
Thanks, Dave, for the class. You said that we can't. Oh man, I forgot my question.
Well, I forgot part of my class, so that's why we're in good company.
What was he saying? It was about. Oh, I don't even know actually.
It'll come back. It'll come just. Any other question? Yep. No, yes. We just wait for the mic. Then the internet and the recording can hear. Do you have to? Can you help, Lucas? Can you help? You just. I think you press and hold it. Just. Very well.
Hare
Jai.
You mentioned that qualification for being educated is to see every woman as mother.
Yes.
And the other two is to see everything that's not yours as garbage in the street.
Yeah.
You don't identify it. And the other one is to judge, to act as you would be. Like if you feel, like Prabhupada was saying, if you feel pain when you're doing something, don't give that pain to others. Would you like to comment on those two other aspects of being an educated person?
Yeah, sure. The seeing others' property as like garbage in the street. So that's, in fact, you can bring everything back to this point of trying to be the enjoyer and controller of the material world, right? Same thing. So if somebody has some possessions or something, even I think it's Upanishad verse which is Ishavasyamidam Savam Yat Kidcha Jagatam Jagat Tena Chak Tena Bunjita Magura Kasisudu, that you should just accept whatever's given to you out of a surrender. This is what Krishna has given to me. And then Krishna has given to someone else, well, I'll leave that. I don't take that. So it's actually the same principle, right? Krishna has given me one wife, one husband, whatever. And let me be satisfied with that. Let me try to make that work. I mean, there's always an exception to every rule, but I don't want to give a whole class on the exception. I'm trying to give a class on the basic principle. But in that same way, like you said, if somebody has something, we should see that that's just like, and the point of all of this, we notice that Chanakya Pandit's not saying you should do this. He's not saying that. He said you should have this mentality. So just like when you see somebody else's thing in the street, it's not good enough just to say, oh God, I wish I could have that. Oh, that's not fair. Why have they got that? Oh my God, that's so nice. I wish I had that. Oh, but I better control myself from doing it. That's a good start. We should be there to start with. But Chanakya Pandit, even on the moral, so you can see even the moral level of Vedic culture is so far advanced from the current Malaysia culture that we're seeing. That even on the moral level, we're not even going to the spiritual teachings, he's saying you should actually see it just like garbage. You see something nice, you say, oh, that's somebody else's. Oh yeah, okay. I have as much interest in that amazing car as an old, bottle of drink or something thrown, rubbish. that the devotee is always very careful not to implicate themselves more in the material world by karma. Therefore, never engage in stealing or taking other people's things. And the third one was, is there 3 to that or 4? Usually he does things in 4s. Just try holding it down. What was the third one you mentioned?
If you see that something causes suffering to someone,
Oh yeah.
then you don't, you never will perform that action. And you know,
Yeah.
and Prabhupada gives the example of animal killing, and you know,
Yeah.
you won't cause pain to others.
Yeah. So is it seeing others suffering as your own, something like that, or? But just don't do things that will cause others suffering. Yeah. We can see all those things. That's a very different idea of education than someone that has this degree and this and that. It's a quality that one, at the same time, is cultivating surrender and acceptance within themselves, and is not disturbing others. You know, disturbing others in their progressive spiritual advancement. So, same thing. Yeah. Was there something else you wanted to say? That's it. Yes, man. And Christina's got the magic touch today. Welcome back, Christina, by the way. Very well.
I was wondering if you could clarify, thank you for sharing that comment that Prabhupada made about saying that in his case, the being with the wife was maybe not spiritual, but at least not sinful. But
yeah, not sinful on. Okay, that's right. Yeah. Finish the question. Can you say that again? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So if we look at eating, for example, which is a simple example, like what makes the eating spiritual? What makes or let me say devotional service, because spiritual can just mean Brahman. But what makes eating devotional service? We offer it to Krishna, yeah, and then we take it, right? And what's the highest level of that, like that we see in our shastras? Somebody like Raghunath Das Goswami, right? Or even a very pious householder, they're just eating just enough. What about Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur? He would purposely mix the whole thing together because he didn't want to have that enjoyment of the different tastes of this material world, there's this and that. Never, he'd just mix it all together and take it, right? So the highest level, when it's, and this is what Prabhupada literally said to that man, to that devotee, was that it's not devotional service. It's not on a spiritual level, it's not devotional service. If the husband and wife are having some relations that's not specifically for having children, that's not pure devotional service, right? Because pure devotional service is doing something directly to please Krishna, directly under the instructions, right? But Prabhupada's point is that it's not morally sinful. So there's 2 levels. Now, if you only do things on the moral level that aren't morally sinful, like you go and eat at vegetarian restaurants all the time where it's not offered, you know, all of this kind of stuff, that's not morally sinful. There's no reaction. Well, there actually is reaction for that even, but there's not on a level. It's not animal killing. It's not, you know, non-veg like that. But you won't go back to Godhead doing that. Going back to Godhead means all our activities, mind, body, and intelligence, words, everything has to be engaged in Krishna's service fully. Whether we have any desire for this, leaving this body, we'll come back. Oh, I want to come back to this. Yes, I'm advanced a lot, but still I want to come back and enjoy a nice, peaceful householder life, or come back enjoying the heavenly planet, something like that. So, yeah, does that make it clear? It's everything in the material world, everything how we interrelate to the material world is according to time, place, circumstance. There's absolute truth. We are the servants of Krishna. That's absolute. Then when you apply that into the material world, it's according to time, place, circumstance. So it's different for different people. So this relations between husband and wife is like the most specifically applicable thing just about you can get to. So it really depends on, even within one husband and wife at certain times. There may be in young life like this, and then later on come more announced the vanaprastha life, then there's no relations, they're just traveling to holy places, they're not even thinking at all. So like this, there's different stages of life even within one husband and wife. You look at Mahabharata, look at the Kshatriyas, how they're traveling around and they get propositioned by someone, and there's a whole different compared to the Brahmanas. So different Varnas, there's differences. We can see that. The Rupa Goswami gives this nectar instruction, gives us this point that we shouldn't apply the rules just for the sake of applying them. This is a rule, so I have to do it. And at the same time, we shouldn't neglect the rules. So what does that mean? We should understand what we're doing. How is that helping our Krishna consciousness and the Krishna consciousness of those that we're responsible to, our husband, our wife, our children, like that. So we have to be intelligent and apply these things in a way that in our life they're helping our Krishna consciousness, helping our ultimate Krishna consciousness. If we say this is a rule, that's it, then we have to be careful that we're not getting into that, just applying a rule for the sake of it, just because it's a rule. We have to see. If the rule says do this, it will help your Krishna consciousness, but doing that at this particular time for us maybe not making our ashram strong, etc. Then we have to be intelligent about how to apply it. Prabhupada's given the thing, the general thing. Sex while having children, just that is pure devotional service, 100%. Right? If there's other sex going on, then it's not sinful, but it's not pure devotional service. Then you have to see how it's indirect, in other words. So how can you connect it? Well, you can see these are more detailed things than the Bhagavatam class. But you get the idea that Prabhupada has given there's basically two levels, and it's all through the Bhagavatam. It's not just one conversation. You can see it everywhere. Here he talks about it. Sex desires understood as sinful contamination. From the point of view of the soul, for the soul it is, because we're taking that position of enjoyer. So if we can't give it up immediately, then we get married. And we engage that in having children in that environment. And then gradually we understand that chanting Hare Krishna is a much higher taste than any kind of mundane activity. But it's important, the indirect life and support is important. It's given in Bhagavatam, the fourth seed shloka of Bhagavatam itself. It's not a very obscure verse. The fourth of the seed shlokas, and in fact the very last instruction in the seed shlokas, is that you have to look for Krishna directly and indirectly. You have to see. You can't just say, oh, that's that. You have to. The indirect means vanashram. What is your situation? How are you situated? How are you applying it at this particular time? Doing your duties, looking after the people around you and their needs. This is all indirect. But it's in service of the direct. It's in service of hearing and chanting. It's like you brought your kids to the temple, right? It's indirect. Getting them ready, putting their uniforms on, driving here, that's all indirect. That's not directly service, right? but it's in service of the direct. Because at the end of the day, you got here and you're hearing Krishna, you're seeing Krishna's beautiful form, hearing the holy name. So that's the direct. So the indirect is always serving the direct. That's one aspect. And also, Ishopanishad verse 11 says that you have to have vidyams cha avidyams cha. You have to have some knowledge, some understanding of the avidya, the material world, to get free from death, it says. Knowledge of the spiritual world will take you to the spiritual world, but knowledge of the material world will free you from death. This is Ishopanishad verse 11. So if we don't have that indirect knowledge of Varnashram, who we are, how we're acting in the world, then we can get further implicated. Just like Prabhu was saying, if we think, oh yeah, I am in this situation, I can do that, and we're actually cheating others, we're speaking something not true about our own spiritual life, etc., that causes further birth and death. This is Ishopanishad verse 11. So it has to be applied with intelligence, but the basic points are given there. We see others who are not our, on the moral platform, we see others who are not our husband and wife as like father or mother, and we work towards the ultimate perfection, which is the understanding that any kind of desire to be the Purusha, to be the enjoyer, is against the eternal nature of our soul. Okay, anything else? Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.